putting every last bit of effort into ensuring a smooth and credible elections at the polls. Joining me in the station this afternoon, I have an activist and public affairs analyst, Comrade Chike Chude. Good afternoon, Comrade. Thank you for joining us on the program.
It's a pleasure.
Also, I have a legal practitioner of repute, Barrister Wahab Shitu. Good afternoon, sir.
My pleasure to be here.
Thank you for joining us on the program. All right, today we'll be taking you through a bit of the analysis. We'll be looking inwards into the Osun State elections and what makes this particular elections a very unique one. We have 5 contenders for these elections, but political pundits say 4 of them are actually very strong, and any of them could emerge the successor to Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola, the incumbent governor of Osun State. Before we go into our talk this evening, let's quickly invite Stephanie Ojadi to do a quick breakdown for us on the Osun elections. We'll be right back in the live studios. Join us again.
Thank you very much, Patience. Welcome to Osun Election, or True Election Watch 2018. It's the flagship program for the Osun election coming up on September 22nd. Now let's talk about Osun State. Osun State is an inland state in southwestern Nigeria. Its capital is Osogbo. It is bounded in the north by Kwara State. It is bounded in the east partly by Ekiti State, partly by Ondo State in the south, and by Ogun State in the west. The state's current governor is Rauf Aregbesola, who was declared as the winner of the 2007 election by the appeal court in Ibadan on the 26th of November 2010. Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola was also re-elected as Osun's governor on August 9, 2014. Osun is home to several of Nigeria's most famous landmarks, including the campus of Obafemi Awolowo University, OAU, Nigeria's preeminent institution of higher learning. The university is also located in the ancient town of Ile-Ife, an important early center of political and religious development for Yoruba culture. The modern Osun was created in August 27, 1991 from part of the old Oyo state. The state's name is derived from the river Osun, the venerated natural spring that is the manifestation of the Yoruba goddess of the same name. Important cultural events in the state include the Orioke and the Egungun Festival, the Osun-Osogbo Festival, amongst others. Every year, adherents and non-adherents of Osun, one of the Orisha, the traditional deities of the Yoruba people, travel from all over the world to attend the annual Osun-Osogbo Festival in August. Visitors include nationals of Brazil, Cuba, Trinidad, and other nations in America with a significant Yoruba cultural heritage. The shrine of the annual rites of the deity and an important artistic center was declared a World Heritage Site in 2005. The major sub-ethnic groups in Osun are Ife, Ijesha, Oyo, Ibolo, and Igbomina of the Yoruba people, although there are also people from other parts of Nigeria. People of Osun State practice Islam, Christianity, and their ancient religion, the traditional faith. The major traditional ruler in Osun State is the Oni of Ife, Oba Adeyeye Enitan Ogunwusi, or Jaja II. Now, Osun is divided into three federal senatorial districts. The state consists of 30 local government areas. Some notable areas are Ife, Ede, Osogbo, Iwo, amongst others. The state has had 4 administrators and 4 governors. Leo Shego Ajiborisha was the administrator in August 1991 to August 1991 to January 1992, and he was the military administrator. And the first governor was Isiaka Adetunji Adeleke, January 1992 to November 1993. Now we're going to be talking about some of the political parties involved. There are 48 political parties for this year's election. 48 in Osun State. This will be the first time that any state in Nigeria is having 48 contenders. But of course, we have 5 major political parties. We have the ADC, the SDP, the ADP, the PDP, and the APC. So we're going to be talking about the party, the APC. The contender for the APC is Adegboyega Isiaka Oyetola. He was born on September 29, 1954 in Iragbiji, Borikpe local government area. After his primary school, Oyetola attended Ifeoluwa Grammar School in Osogbo before proceeding to University of Lagos, UNILAG, where he obtained a Bachelor of Science degree in insurance in 1978 and a Master's in Business Administration in 1990 from the same institution. In 1991, he founded his own company where he was the managing director until his appointment as Chief of Staff in 2011. Oyetola served in Governor Rauf Aregbesola's 8-year administration. Unknown to many political observers outside Osun State, Oyetola has been achieving political feats without attracting attention to himself since 1997. He's said to be among the prominent Nigerians who founded the Alliance for Democracy, AD, in 1998. The APC flag bearer is said to have amassed supporters and a strong followership in all the 332 wards in the local government in Osun State. And then, of course, the second contender is none other than PDP Ademola Adeleke. Senator Ademola Adeleke was born on May 13th in Enugu State, southeast Nigeria. He attended the Methodist Primary School in Surulere, Lagos, and he studied criminology at Jacksonville State University in Alabama. Adeleke's mom was an Igbo woman with a Christian background. Before his emergence as the PDP flag bearer for Osun State governorship election, Adeleke was famous for his dance steps at the slightest opportunity. Interestingly, Adeleke is not the first senator in his family now. He's the third. Ademola's father, who was the Balogun of Ede, was an astute politician and a Second Republic senator. And his dad was one of the major political pillars of the defunct Unity Party of Nigeria, UPN, where he worked alongside the legendary premier of Western Nigeria, Chief Obafemi Awolowo. Ademola became a senator after he replaced his late brother, Isiaka Adeleke, to represent Osun West Senatorial District at the Nigerian Senate. Remember, we said Isiaka was the first governor of Osun State. The move to replace late Isiaka saw Ademola quitting the All Progressives Congress to join the People's Democratic Party, meaning Adeleke was once a member of the APC, and now he's a member of the PDP, where he emerged the candidate and won the by-election. He works with his brother's conglomerate, Pacific Holdings Limited. He has been accused and charged to the Osogbo High Court for forging his secondary school testimonial, and there's a lot of controversy surrounding his WAEC result certificate. Moving on to our next contender from the SDP, Governor Iola Omishore. Omishore was born September 15, 1957, a Nigerian businessman and a politician who was a deputy governor of Osun State from 1999 to 2003, meaning he's been in power for a while as a deputy governor under Adebisi Akonde. He previously served as a member of the Nigerian Senate for Osun East from 2003 to 2009. He was born into a royal family in Ile-Ife. He's the son of Oba David Olajide Omishore. His father was crowned as the first Olu of Olode Town in Ife, South Local Government Area of Osun State. He had his primary education at the SS Peter and Paul Roman Catholic School in Ile-Ife and his secondary education at St. John Grammar School, Ile-Ife, Osun State, Nigeria from 1972 to 1977. He later attended Federal Polytechnic Owo in Ondo State, Nigeria. He then sat for and passed his full technological certificate examinations at the Technology College, Reading, UK, and obtained a diploma certificate in electrical electronics engineering. Mishare holds 2 engineering degrees and a postgraduate certificate from Brunel University, Uxbridge, as well as a PhD in infrastructure finance from the International School of Management, France. He later established his own engineering firms and supervised the construction of 19 airfields, including Makurdi Air Force Base and other projects. As Patience said earlier, all the contenders are big contenders and anyone could actually take it. He also ran for governor of Osun State on the platform of the People's Democratic Party, and he lost the August 9, 2014 governor election to Rauf Aregbesola, who was the incumbent governor. As we've said, all of these people have links one way or the other. Now we're moving to the next party, the ADP. Adeoti Moshood Olaleko was born 27th February 1953 in Iwo, Osun State. He attended Baptist Day School, Iwo, Baptist High School, and University of Benin, where he bagged a BSc in Business Administration with a second-class honors. He worked as a graduate assistant in Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, during his NYSC years, and he started his political career in 1978 as the General Secretary, Unity Party of Nigeria, UPN Youth Vanguard. In 1983 and 1990 to 1993, he was elected delegate of UPN and SDP for the governorship, national, and state assemblies, respectively. There was the pioneer state chairman, ACN. Now, ACN is now the new APC, All Progressives Congress, emerged together to form APC. In 2007, under Adeoti's leadership, incumbent Governor Rauf Aregbesola emerged as the party's flag bearer. Remember that when Rauf Aregbesola was elected first, he was in the Action Congress, now All Progressives Congress. In November 26, 2010, he was appointed Secretary to the Osun State Government. In 2014, he was also reappointed Secretary to the Osun State Government for the second term. He used to be a member of the All Progressives Congress, as I said earlier. Now, the other party is the ADC, and we have Fatai Akinbade was born April 1955 and is a Nigerian politician who became secretary to the state government in Osun State. He's an Owu prince, thus making him an Omoba of the Yoruba people. He studied at St. James Anglican Primary School, then at the Catholic Commercial Secondary Modern School. He studied at Catholic Technological College, Ile-Ife, where he qualified as a civil engineer. He was a contender to become the People's Democratic Party, PDP, candidate for governorship of Osun State in April 2011 elections. Akinbade joined the Osun State government, working for over 16 years under 3 military administrations and under the civilian governor, Olagunsoye Oyinlola. In 2003, he was appointed secretary to the state by Olagunsoye Oyinlola. In 2004, he was chosen as the leader of the party for Iwo federal constituency. Akinbade has announced a plan to run in the PDP primaries for state governor in February 2010. However, his bid was opposed by party leadership. They directed all the state council chairmen to back Senator Iyola Omishore, the present SDP candidate, whose election as senator for Osun was annulled in October 2009. Now we're going to be looking at the election stats. We're comparing 2014 to 2018. Total number of registered votes for 2014 was 1.4,373,000, and in 2018 there's been an increase, a slight increase of over 200,000 people, 1.6 million. And now in 2014, total PVCs collected was 697,574. In 2018, we have over 1 million, meaning there's been an increase in collection of PVCs. Now the total number of uncollected PVCs ranked fairly the same. In 2014 was 519,999, and in 2018 515,773. And of course we have accredited voters who voted in 2014. 764 voters were accredited and 717 votes were valid. Now, from the first time in the history of Nigeria, as I said earlier, there are over 48 candidates contesting for governor. But as we know, 5 major contenders. The Independent National Electoral Commission in Osun State has released names of 48 political parties that are contesting, and the election is slated for September 22nd. The Resident Electoral Commissioner for the state, Segun Agbaje, says that a total of 1.1 PVCs have been collected by voters out of the 1.668524 received in the state, leaving a balance of 515,773 as at August 17. Now, the 2014 stat says 661,394 male voters and 741,828 voters for female voters for the election, meaning that the females have a higher percentage. Now, there were 332 wards, 3,010 polling units, 3,379 voting points, and Osogbo, the state capital, had the highest number of registered voters with 110,670 people coming out to vote, followed by Ife Central with a voting population of 95,471. So all the contenders will be trying to pull as much votes as they can pull from Osogbo and Ife. Out of the 30 local government council, APC won 22 with a total of 394,684 when Rauf Aregbesola won, while PDP won in 8 local governments. So you can see that it's right now, as of when Rauf Aregbesola was voted in, 22 local governments was won by the APC. So we do hope that we'll see more of this. Now, the staffs to be used for the election in 2018, the ad hoc staff is 15,000 ad hoc staff. We're talking youth corps members, personnel, students, INEC officials, and all of that. And then, of course, we have to talk about security, which is quite important. As you can see, in 2014, the total number of security personnel was 70,000. And in 2018, now we have 18,426 police officers just for the police. Just police, and then we have others. We've got SSFs, we have civil defense and all of that who will be coming in to get the total number. And of course, the AIG has said that there will be 3 policemen to 1 polling booth. So we do hope to see the election proper on September 22nd, and I can't wait to see how it's going to play out. Or as you said, Patience, all the contenders are crossing their T's and dotting their I's. So we can't wait to see what happens at Osun State on September 22. Back to you, Patience.
Thank you very much, Stephanie, for that in-depth analysis of Osun State, as it were. Now, over 1.6 million registered voters out of a population of more than 3 million Osun State residents. How will these elections pan out is what we're yet to see. Still with me in the live studios, I have Comrade Chike Chude and Barrister Wahab Shitu. Thank you again, gentlemen, for joining me in the program. Now, to kickstart this talk, let's talk about the dynamics of Osun politics, as it were, since the creation of the state, Osun State, in 1991 by the military administration. Up until now, we're in a democratic dispensation. How would you say politics in that state has evolved? Let's start with you, Barrister.
Starting from first of all, when you had the likes of the Chief of Bafemawolo, you run up until now. Osun State is a theater of action, if I may put it that way. And then, so what happens eventually in Osun State has a lot of significance for the outcome of elections in the Southwest. Before now, the focus was on the Ekiti State. And we saw what happened that the outcome of that election was before the election position travel. And so now, and you know, coming and this election was taking place at this point in time is also significant. Yes, taking place so close to the 2019 elections. So there are a lot of permutations. And if we look at the contenders, all of them are, to me, appear very familiar. All of them are linked one way or the other with the politics of Osun State.
Okay.
Now, is it Yola Omishore that you want to talk about? He's been a former deputy governor. He's been a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He has also been contesting for this seat for a long time. He ran against
royal family. So.
Yeah, royal family. He ran against Ralph Aregbesola, the incumbent. Or is it the candidate of APC that is new to Osun politics? No, he's not new. Before now, he was the chief of staff to Governor Ralph Aregbesola. And if you look at also his profile, he's a man of experience and exposure in terms of his pedigree. Or is it Mashood Adeoti that you want to talk about? Before now, he was the secretary to the state government under the same Ralph Aregbesola. So all the candidates for these elections are very, very familiar. So, and the outcome will determine what will happen, not only in the Southwest, but in the rest of the, in the build-up to the 2019 elections. So all attentions are, and you can see a lot of controversy that has been generated by this election. A lot of issues have been raised. There are people who have raised issues about alleged unpaid salaries of workers by the Aregbesola administration. But again, some people have also said that in terms of infrastructural development, hardly can you see a governor who has performed as well as much as what Aregbesola has done in Osun State. All you need to do is to drive to Osun State and you see the kind of development going on at the instance of Aregbesola. But people have also said that so soon about 19 billion was moved into defraying salary arrears. Some people have said, oh, does that not amount to vote buying?
Especially if it's done close
to the election. And then you understand what I'm saying? But again, the government haven't succeeded in also paying this debt. It's saying that, oh, there's no development that can take place without some level of pay. What the Osun State people are paying for, in terms, are benefiting from, in terms of infrastructural development, is the price they have to pay for the unpaid salaries. And now the salaries have been paid. Maybe that will sway the voters in favor of APC. It remains to be seen.
Okay.
So there are a lot of competition. And then again, alleged examination malpractices. Against some of the candidates, so there are a lot of issues.
Let's bring Comrade Chude into the discussion. Like Barrister Shitu was saying, a lot of crises have trailed, these elections from the conduct of the primary elections, and some of the contenders are still immersed in one controversy or the other. Do you think this will have a tangible effect on the outcome of the elections?
Well, I think that would depend on a lot of things. And of course, there is this generally acknowledged, sentiment that issues do not determine the direction of elections in this country.
Okay.
To a very large extent, that is the truth. Most of these politicians, as a result of the lack of any serious ideological compass, they are not exactly coming from anywhere and going anywhere. And so it's not, you see, if it's about issues, I mean, we are used to a situation in this country where a candidate comes and tells the people, stands before the people and tells them, I'm going to build roads, I'm going to build hospitals, I'm going to do this and that. You understand? And this is in spite of, obvious challenges, obvious constraints that those people have. For instance, they will tell you they're going to embark on one gigantic, project, and they don't tell you how. They don't tell you where they're going to get the money from. They don't tell you how they're going to finance it. Okay. They don't tell you how they're going to finance it and so. So these are the things we are talking about, issues. And I believe that it's not about, and it's not as if, everybody, I mean, in terms of the electorate, that they all do not understand the dynamics, that play out during the, during politics and all of that. But I think that a lot of people have also become fixated one way or the other, with all kinds of sentiments with regards to the election. It's either they like this person or they don't like this person. They have reasons why they're going to. Because, you see, the average mindset or the mindset of the average worker is not that the politician is going into office to perform. It's not going that he's going into office to do this and that and that. The mindset, in most cases, and that is why when the politicians appear before them and they make offers to them, maybe inducement and all of that, the tendency is for them to quickly take it, because the thinking is that once they get to power, they will shut the door and then they are not going to forget about them and so on. That is a very pervasive thought. I remember being in the company of a friend, sometime in the past. He was involved in politics. He wanted to run for governor somewhere. I think in Lagos, and they got to a place at I just tagged along that day. They got to a place somewhere at Tekmori and the rest. And then when they were about to go, after addressing the people, the youths, they locked up the gate. And they said they are not going to go anywhere. And what was the reason? They said he had not settled them. You understand? So the man tried to talk about, duties, responsibilities of, and they didn't want to hear. They were not interested in that. They said, look, we know you're going to stay money there. Wow. So before you stay, just give us, our own, and then you can go back there and then do whatever it is you want to do. So that is the mindset of the average, voter. It is not as if the voter does not want an improvement in his, life. It's not as if he does not want or he does not believe in infrastructural development and the rest. But it's just that they have been shortchanged for so long in this country that they have lost any, any hope when it comes to the expectations of the political process, from the political process. Okay. Now, with regards to, Osun State, I agree that the dynamic, the stakes are high. Actually, the stakes are usually very high in every election in this country, especially if you're going to have staggered, this staggered election that allows for maximum concentration in a particular place where election is going to take place, okay. Like we had in Ekiti, like we had in Osun, like we had in Anambra State, like we had in Edo State and the rest. The stakes are exceedingly very high. So all of these intrigues really, are expected to play out. They played out so much in Ekiti State. They are playing out now, in Osun State. But I think that what stands out really in Osun State, just like every other person has said, is the formidability of 4 of the candidates that are contesting this election. So what it means, or what it's going to translate into, is that what you would have expected, either in terms of a landslide, in terms of somebody, any of the candidates taking a major lead, is that because all of these politicians, all of these candidates are very, very formidable, you're going to have one side eating into the votes of the other. Okay. And if care is not taken, we might see ultimately at the end of the day, an election whose result might be not too, in terms of the final distance, might not be too far apart. That is in terms of the winner, okay, from the nearest contender.
Okay. Can we talk about the low representation of women, though, in this election? 48 contenders and only 4 are women, and they are not even part of the formidable 4, if you know what I mean.
Well, when you begin to speculate on how formidable the candidates are, before results are announced. It's in the realm of conjecture. Until the results are actually announced, we will not be able to know which candidate is formidable. Some people will appear formidable on the pages of newspapers or by virtue of the noise they are making, whereas they are not as formidable as they purport to be in reality. But speaking very seriously, the fact that 4 women are also in this race is a plus.
Really?
Yeah, yes. I mean, considering what used to happen in the past, I recall that in the presidential election, in the past, one of the presidential aspirant in previous elections was a woman. And if you look at the population of voters, largely you have the dominant, segment of the population are women, and then the youths. The youths and women, they are, and you expect that in an election, the women should be able to
support another woman.
But it doesn't play out like that in reality. Women are very, very reluctant in sharing whatever. You understand me? They oppose, but the fact that the number is increasing, and like we are now seeing in the Australian election, is some kind of encouragement. What we can continue to urge is to continue to encourage our women folk to come out, and then exhibit their skills, because I know from experience that what a man can do, a woman can also do, if not better. And women have over the years exhibited tremendous leadership skills, and we know that if given the opportunity, they can perform. But you see, I think part of the reason is because of the cultural realities. Okay. How many men will allow their wives come out and play real politics and embrace politicking against the background? The men do. Against the background of our cultural restrictions and realities. So these are some of the factors. But beyond that, I think things are changing. And that, but you see, you know that the way politics is played in our country, in our system here, there's a lot of do or die politics, fair or foul means, a lot of unorthodox means are deployed in the process, a lot of violence sometimes, and women generally they are not given to such kind of violence. Okay. So also of these factors may be the limiting factor, but I think the trend is improving, and we continue to appeal that it should improve. But speaking very seriously about this election, my own take is that I do not care who eventually emerges. What matters to me in the final analysis is good governance after the whoever emerges is sworn in. But before a winner emerges, my own take is that the election should be free, fair, peaceful. Free, fair, peaceful, and fair. I mean, if elections are free, fair, and peaceful, then the results will be legitimate. Those who emerge from the process can be said to reflect the true representatives of the people. And so if we want this election to be free, then we should also monitor the process adequately. I'm worried by the level of money that is being pumped into the system on the eve of every election. And I think that is something that should worry you and I, because it then means that results of elections are being determined by the monetary factors. The highest bidder. The highest bidder. And that is not what we call cash and carry democracy. And but in this particular Osun election, you can see that all the stakeholders who are involved have taken it very seriously. You saw the campaign of APC. The president was there. Jagaban, all the major stakeholders, including the chairman of APC, all of them were there. Look at it, the PDP's campaign too. The president, all of them have visited the place. And everybody is campaigning seriously to ensure that they make a difference. So I believe, at the end of the day, my own take is that let the best candidate win the election.
All right, Comrade, you want to jump on that one?
Yeah, well, I think I liked I mean, how he ended up. I mean, also looking at the cash and carry democracy that we're beginning to practice, because ultimately you want to ask yourself really how free and fair and credible the election was. It is not because there was absence of violence that makes an election free and fair. And but again, you could have an election that was violence free, but in an election that was characterized by heavy financial inducement and bribery of voters, can we truly say that that election is a credible election? Because if you look at the electoral law, various sections of the electoral law, frown seriously at the bribery and inducement of voters before and even after elections of voting and all of that. So if there's a clear violation, for instance, of the electoral laws or electoral rules of engagement in the manner that we have seen it brazenly in broad daylight, for instance, like we saw in Ekiti, that was known to everybody, the security forces, the INEC and all of that, and yet that election was allowed to sail through. Yes. Can we truly say that we have advanced the cause of democracy? I think it is a critical question, because you cannot keep on doing the same thing again. I mean, now what is the basis of even the inducement of the voters? The monies in most cases did not come from the pockets of these people who are participating in the election. The monies were as a result of criminal action by the participants in that process, who looted the treasury of the various states, of the treasury and all of that, in order to participate in an election. And so we know that these monies that are being expended today will be recovered fully, and much more than that, from the same people that they have taken the money from. There must be a return. And we've seen statements to that effect from certain people who have played key roles in the politics of this country. When Anduba and Chris Ngige had that falling out with one another, Anduba at the time said, look, that this was purely a business investment, and he has invested money he's still not supposed to recoup from that investment. The same thing with the late strongman of Ibadan politics, Adedibu, when he had issue with Ladoja, the government, and so on. He was asking why he was not entitled to some money that was coming to the coffers of the state and the rest. So this brazen admission of financial perfidy that the political class continues to perpetrate in this country, it's not something that we should celebrate. When we see it, the way and manner that it was done in Ekiti State, it was done in Ondo State, it was done in Edo State, it was done in Anambra State, and the rest. And then we keep on, moving in the same direction, as if it is normal. There is nothing normal about what is going on. And so one of the challenges I think that INEC is going to have is, are we going to have, a repeat of the Ekiti experience in brazenness? You understand, the way it was done, where people were being paid and everybody knew that they were being bribed to vote. Though he had said that in order to curtail that, the order they gave with regards to carrying a phone into the polling booth and the rest, perhaps he might also check that. I don't know.
Okay, well, coming back to look at that now, not too long ago, the Electoral Commission, INEC, banned the use of electronic gadgets like telephones and cameras as we use at the polling booths. What interpretation will this give to the Osun elections come Saturday? We'll be talking about that, but let's take a quick break to see this report. We'll be back.
As of the 10th of September this year, a total of 1,222,648 PVCs have been collected. However, there is still a remainder of 454,458 PVCs yet to be collected. This is still a huge number, and we call on voters to please go out and collect your PVCs, especially as the elections draw close. We also encourage voters to get ready for the elections. Watching the vote is here to promote credible elections, and we hope to see an increase in voter turnout better than what we had in Ekiti. As an organization committed to promoting electoral integrity and active citizens' engagement, Yagas Watching the Vote has successfully trained a team of 69 trainers in Osogbo who will be deployed to each of the 30 LGAs to train the 500 polling unit observers in the different LGAs this weekend.
All Yaga Watching the Vote long-term observers are recruited from the local government within which they reside to observe electoral activities relating to voter education, political campaign activities, activities of marginalized groups, youth, women, and persons with disabilities, and election-related violence in the pre-election period. This report covers activities of the INEC, political parties, national orientation agencies, civil society organizations, women, youth, and persons with disabilities.
Youth, women, and people with disabilities are actively engaging the political space through canvassing for votes for either political parties or candidates. These were visible or observed in Borupe, Ifedayo, Ifelodu, Odooti, Orolu, Oshobo, Atakumosa West, Ilesha West, Ilesha East, Ede South, Irewole, Isokan, Iwo LGAs, and many more. Finally, political parties' campaigns, especially campaign rallies, are increasingly dominating the state as election draws near. The dominant parties in the state, based on our observations, are ADP, that's Action Democratic Party, All Progressive Congress, APC, People's Democratic Party, PDP, and Social Democratic Party, SDP.
Welcome back. It's still Osun Decides 2018. Let's take the conversation to our station in Osun State for a bit. We have the chairman, Young Progressive Party, on standby in the person of Mr. Olani.
This gadget.
Father on standby. Good evening, sir. Thank you for joining us on the program this evening. Now, a quick one to you. What's the significance really of this particular elections, both to the ruling party, the incumbent governor, and also to the Osun people?
Well, thank you for having me. Because we need a paradigm shift from the old order to a new order, and between the electorates are now very, very high, unlike 2014, when a lot of people are not very informed. You can see from the number of PVC that has been collected so far that there is going to be a lot of participation in the election. The fear most of us have regarding this election is the issue of PVC buying from the old people, and that is a lot of concern because there's a possibility, and the people when your has been cloned, you don't have the opportunity of using that same piece.
All right, we seem to be experiencing a bit of a network hitch. We'll see if we can go back to Osun State. Now, back to my guest in the studios. Now, Mr. Fadaonsi there was talking about buying of votes, allegation of parties already buying votes. How do you think we can checkmate this, vis-a-vis the new rule by INEC on not allowing electronic devices at the polling booths?
I think there are preemptive measures that could be taken to forestall this kind of vote buying exercise, and that has to be in the realm of political education.
Okay. To the electorate.
To the electorate.
Okay.
I think not much has been done in terms of sensitizing the people about the significance of the electoral procedure. For instance, your vote is your power. It's your power against bad governance. It's your power to deliver good governance. And then it's the only power you have to ensure transparency and accountability in governance. And as the voter, you should not sell your right. I mean, sell your vote. If you sell your vote, that translates into selling your conscience and selling your future, the future of your children. I think enough sensitization should be done at the level of political education, so that people realize the grave consequences of electoral or vote buying. Again, how do you checkmate the exercise? I think we have a pervasiveness of this kind of practice because of there are no consequences. When people vote, buy votes, they violate the Electoral Act. What is the mechanism that are put in place to ensure that those who breach the law are brought to book?
Yeah, to serve as a deterrent.
To serve as a deterrent. So we have there are enough sufficient provisions in our laws, in our constitution, in the electoral.
Hold the thought there, Barrister Shitu. I think Osun is ready for us again. Let's go back to Mr. Olani Fadaunse, if you can hear me. Let's pick it up from where you stopped. We were talking about the significance of this particular elections to the Osun people and also to the ruling party and the incumbent governor.
Yes, like I was saying, that the awareness is very high, and you will have a lot of people at the polls this time around, more than before. The significance of this election is very, very high. The stake in the election is very high because the two major contending parties are very much at loggerheads, because it's a determinant of what happens in the general elections in 2019. If you look at the Osun elections very, very well, you see that once we have our election, the next one is the general election, which is coming up in 2019. So the significance is not lost on everybody. It is first of all a referendum on the past administration, and it is their scorecard that is now being judged. That is another significance of this election, and also the new entrants, especially Moshood Adeoti and the SDP candidate Christopher Onishori, they are a force to be reckoned with in this election, and it is coming at a very crucial time in the development of our politics in Osun State. Now, we have never had formidable candidates like this in this state, and we are looking at how is this vote going to be distributed, who is going to be more acceptable across the board, and who is going to have whose vote is going to be localized in his area. So those are the things that we are, that there's going to be a very good statistics for future in this election. So those are the main.
Okay, all right, maybe we'll go back again when the network is better. Of course, I think he just basically reiterated what we already said in the studios as to the fact that all of the contenders might have equal, equal share of the electorate, as it were, and there won't really be a landslide, victory on anybody's side.
I think one other thing we also have to consider again, because we are looking at all kinds of permutations and all of that, the politics of it, the dynamics and the rest, and then the fact of the Asiwaju and his influence. You cannot dismiss the fact that he has been, the mainstay, to a very large extent of Southwest politics in the past, 20 years and all of that. And there is this feeling that his influence is being challenged in an unprecedented manner, like before. And if you look at all the states where he has, very major influence, he's been able to have his hands in most of the elections, in terms of victory, or in most of the elections in the Southwest. He had difficulties in Ondo State. under Mimiko when they couldn't take Ondo State from the Labour Party then. And then again, there were issues with the current governor of Ondo State. Ekiti State, they have been able to win and all of that. But again, of all the states that whose governors, in terms of those occupying, government office that are close to Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Osun State is one. Then the main one is, of course, Lagos State, because of the size of Lagos and all of that, he does not have exactly as much influence, really, from what feelers that we're getting in with regards to the governor of, Ogun State, and then Ogun State and Oyo State, in as much as they are from the same party and they share the same, interest in terms of the APC as a party. So Osun State is also a state that is extremely very, very important to him. That would also go a long way in determining, whether his influence really is winning in that state, or whether it is still at the level it has been, or perhaps even more than the level it has been all this while. So I felt that it's also important to point out, this particular aspect of the politics of, Osun State.
Okay. So what I deduce from what you said is winning this election is quite critical for the APC in a way.
It is absolutely critical.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. I don't know if Mr. Fadamsi is ready for us again. Now, quickly, because we're almost out of time, can you bring us up to speed on the general mood of the people of Osun State? How ready would you say the electorate really are? Are they really, really ready? Because it's not just enough to say they've registered to vote, collected PVCs, but there's something called voters' apathy. So if voters are not that ready to actually cast their vote, we might have a problem. What's the mood of the people of Osun State really towards this election? Quickly.
Yeah, the morale is very high, and the mood is also.
All right, I don't know what's going on. I think the weather, okay.
Much educated. Even if you talk to a market woman and you ask him, what are you going to do about this election? When are you going? You will hear a very resounding, "Oh, I need to vote so that."
Come back. At least we heard him say the people are quite excited about these elections. Now, Barrister Shitu, let's look quickly at the build-up to these elections. I mean, we've seen rallies upon rallies. We saw the PDP on, we saw the APC on, and the PDP on was almost like a concert. I enjoyed watching that on YouTube and all of that. But then, those large turnouts at rallies, does it translate really to election victory?
Well, it does not necessarily translate into. Most people, attend the rallies for entertainment, and then to also have opportunity to see firsthand certain personalities whose name they have been hearing for a long time, who are now visiting, the scene of rallies.
Okay.
But you see, this election, particularly the Australian election, has been very dramatic. The PDP candidate is an exciting personality. With incredible dance steps and all that. And beyond the dancing, we must also appreciate the fact that the man has a lot of electoral value. Before now, he's won election into the Senate. His brother, Isaka Adeleke Seribawon, was a former governor of the state who had a lot of goodwill, and is still enjoying that goodwill. So beyond the dancing, the PDP candidate is a man to watch in terms of his electoral value.
Popularity.
Yes. Again, if you look at APC, Aregbesola is a dramatic governor. Somebody is the only governor who said, "Oh, I won't allow my state to be called Osun State. I will allow you to be called the state of Osun.
Yes.
He's the only man who adopted the prefix of Benny.
Yes.
And if you drive around Osun State, you see massive infrastructural development. But road networks are all over the place. So it's a scorecard for beyond Aswaju. It's also a test case for the popularity of Aregbesola.
Yeah, that's true.
Has he done well?
That's true.
Is the people of Osun State, happy? How far is this late payment of salaries? What effect is going to have on the electorate? Would they see it as vote buying, or would they see it as an attempt to atone for previous lapses? That also are issues that we have to look at. But again, Omishore, who can wish away Omishore? Who can wish him away in the politics of Osun State? He's a man who has been former deputy governor. He contested election as a senator. He won. He was the chairman of the appropriation committee of the Senate. Omishore is well known to the Osun electorate.
Even when he had the
you understand me? So and Adeoti again, this man Adeoti, you cannot wish him away. He's a man who was his SSG, immediate SSG. He resigned that post to say, no, I'm the one that I'm going to endorse. Instead of endorsing Yutola, I'm the one entitled to it. He left the party and he's now running election under the new party. He's a very formidable politician. Now Boyega Isiaka Oyetola, the candidate of APC, he's a technocrat. And you can cool-headed. And for him, he was the former immediate chief of staff to Aregbesola. He's trusted. So he has the backing of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He has the backing of Ogbeni Raufu Aregbesola. He has the backing of the president. He has the backing of Oshomole dancing, Oshomole is like a bulldozer, a caterpillar. So the outcome of this election is going to be very decisive. But what is important is that whoever emerges to emphasize good governance, and I want this election to be free, fair, peaceful, and credible. And that we can achieve if there's a level playing field for all the contestants.
All right, on the last note, Comrade.
Yeah, I will start.
Okay.
Yeah, okay,
I
go
was
on.
going to say the results of these elections, would it have any bearing on the general elections in 2019?
Again, not necessarily so, but it will be a signpost of what might happen in 2019. Okay. Do not forget that this election is also coming against the backdrop of the election, though that matter is still in the court. So if the PDP has 2 successive victories at the gubernatorial level, it sends a message. You understand? So, and that's why, the APC, and that's why I think that the PDP will do everything possible to see whether they can balance the equation. Okay. And also, make that statement that, look, we are here for the long haul. We have the capacity, and we are ready to match the APC with whatever they throw in. We will throw something better, and so on. But I think that if they lose this election, it's going to be a discouragement for some people within the PDP. 2 very important critical elections back to back, I think is a nightmare that the PDP will not want. So they want to see whether they can balance the equation. And I'm also hoping truly that at the end of the day, this issue of every election going to an election petition tribunal, because it is being contested, is not something that we should continue with in our democracy. The reality is that whenever you have victories, whether at the primary level where candidates are being chosen, we must begin to get it to that level where even the opponent knows clearly that he was beaten fair and square. You understand? And that tells you, the fact that we are not able to do that and virtually every matter ends up in the court, still tells you that we have a very long way in trying to show Nigerians that elections are not just, we are not just conducted to be seen, but we are seen to be conducted in a free and fair manner. Okay,
I wish you had more time to go on, but tomorrow is another day. Thank you so very much, gentlemen, for coming on the program. It's been a pleasure having Comrade Achike Chude, an activist and a public affairs analyst. Thank you for coming to the program. Also, a renowned legal practitioner, Barrister Wahab Shitu. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program. So who succeeds Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola in the forthcoming elections? Is it Demola Adeleke of the PDP? Is it Oyetola of APC? Is it Akimade of the ADC? Iyola Omishore of the SDP? PDP, or is it Moshood Adeoti of the ADP? Soon to be seen in 2 days. Meanwhile, join us again tomorrow at 4:30 on Galaxy TV for another in-depth analysis of Osun Decides 2018. Have a good evening.